Hey, everybody, welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge at Roosters on Olentangy River Road, Columbus, Ohio, the greatest city in the world. It is Lettermen Live, and we've got a lot of football to discuss because we have a very special guest in for the first time ever, Thayer Munford.
Hey, all right.
The second ever Blocko, a participant in Ohio State's Pro Day. He stole the show. Nobody even talked about the quarterbacks last Wednesday after Thayer ran the 40, did his position drills. This is just Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham, and I'm Austin Ward. But Thayer, I know that the last couple months have been, wild, fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if fun's the word. You didn't sound like you were having fun in Indy after the medical examination.
Man,
But
after all that stuff in Indy, I was like, all right, I'm very tired right now. But everything was good. I loved Indy. Got to meet with all the coaches, of course. Even though I did not like the medical part on Wednesdays, of course, but it was all good. That was all for a good cause for me in the near future.
What did you think? Did you get done what you wanted to accomplish on Wednesday?
For sure, yeah. I for sure got done doing my 225 test. I kind of hit my number because since I got longer arms, I didn't know how many I was about to get. I know it's about getting like the low 20 range, but with my long arms, of course, it was good.
So,
Bobby, what did you think about his bench performance in those?
What was the final number?
I could care less.
22.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you didn't do like
How much you
10,
do, Bob?
something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, low 20s. I mean, I had a pec strain,
that's
so
right.
like as long as you get 20, that's all I care about. Like I did like 21 and then racked it, and the guy's like, I forget, it was at Ohio State, and like,
Were they?
I mean, does it
Were they
matter?
helping? Have you seen that one where they've been like helping? Up north was doing it, right?
Aiden Hutchinson seemed to be getting some assistance
It's insane.
on the bench, but
Well, I mean, but your tackle mate or offensive line mate, I guess, Mr. Petit Ferrer, said he enjoyed the interviews at the combine and enjoyed like that. Did you enjoy that process of going through and interviewing and meeting with those teams? Because I can't imagine that it was all that at least from my experience, it's not terrible, but it's not the most pleasant thing in the world.
You know what? I kind of like enjoyed it for a little bit, but everybody else keep asking me like the repetitive questions.
Yeah, why you hurt all the time?
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's
You
wrong?
tough enough?
Yeah,
You
literally.
got a back problem? You can be able to play for us?
Exactly. So I was like, all right.
That's what it's like.
Meeting after meeting, hearing the same stuff. It's like, all right.
Yeah, and you got to be professional about it, of course. But also, at the same time, you got to keep your own personal emotions down too.
Like, will you just stand here and let us insult you, please?
Yeah.
15 minutes. What was the weirdest
You
question?
didn't smack anybody, did you?
No.
Don't say the
Okay.
team.
Oh wow.
Don't say what team
Easy,
asked
Chris
it.
Rock.
But what was the weirdest question that anyone tried to?
No, I was gonna. Yeah.
What was the weirdest question?
Unless you want to say who did it.
Would you kill a cat or dog?
Would you kill a cat or a dog?
Yeah.
Like you had
You
to
had to
choose one,
choose.
or
No, you had to choose which
You had
one.
to choose.
had to choose.
That's
Literally.
pretty-
Yeah.
Usually they ask, are you a cat or dog person? I think the kill element on that
The kill element. I mean,
That's taken it to
the
another
game
level.
has changed, Bob.
it really
we're in
has.
2022 now.
I don't want to know your answer.
I
But it was
know.
a cat.
It's got to be a cat. Cat's the only
I
answer.
ain't
Could you
saying my
choose
answer.
neither? Yeah, that's
I said neither, but it's like no. I want your answer. I want cat or dog. Which one you want to kill?
that's got to be that's got to be your guy in Detroit, Bob.
Dan, I
He's
don't know.
biting kneecaps and he's killing pets. That's
Dan's a former player.
anything
Like,
to win a game.
yeah, but former players don't usually.
They're
when they ask
smiling.
those kinda questions.
I think it's Detroit, and Jonah told him that he was going to get that. question.
Yeah, it's the former players don't ask that stuff. But did you? So you didn't play in the Senior Bowl, did you?
No, I did not. Of course, I didn't play in Senior Bowl because I played 5 years here. Of course.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, why do I need to keep doing all this stuff just for?
So then,
For
with
the show.
that though, you probably had a lot of meetings then in the evenings. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, 100%. I had like how many meetings I had the first night? It was like at least 19 meetings and plus like 10 more after that.
Yeah, it's
And
a lot.
It was a lot. You're just mentally exhausted from the plane ride, of course. Then the next day is medical stuff. Then you have more meetings. Then after that day, you literally have to what was it? You take care of your body, eat, of course. Then you gotta do measurements and you
Oh
gotta,
yeah.
Make sure that your hands are big enough.
yeah, freaking 10.
Yeah, got some.
I think those hands
big
are
old paws down there. Yeah, no doubt
So,
about it.
They still do the interviews in the hotel rooms, right, with the pool in the middle.
No,
They moved it out of there.
they moved it out. So now it wasn't like the
They call it the train
Indianapolis Colts-
station or whatever.
Indianapolis Colts,
In the facility.
in the facilities.
Oh, really?
Not facility. It was in Indianapolis Colts, like stadium, of course, but it was
Yeah.
Their team room.
everybody who's rich just see up
Oh,
top.
and the suites.
No, the
they
suites up top.
That's actually not bad. It's a little more walking. They used to do it in the pool. I'll have to find out when they changed this. They used to do it there and down there, and it'd be like all the rooms on the first floor. That's where all the teams would have their meeting rooms. And there was a pool in the middle, and they'd come and they just like you walk out. There's someone literally there waiting to take you to the next room.
Yeah.
The next meeting, like, there, let's go. And you're like, what team are you? Where am I going? And they just pull you. And this dude was walking out, talking, going from one meeting to the next, way like, all right, coach, I'll catch you in like the breakout room where you can go meet with the position group coaches during the day.
Yeah.
Old boy just walked straight up into the water. It was remarkable. Everybody just saw there's a pool in the middle, and he's like walking, and whoosh, right in the drink. He had to go to his next meeting sitting there soaking wet. It was awesome.
Well, you got to find a way to spice up that event.
No doubt about it.
Combine season and the pro day. I'm sure Thayer's not. I mean, I'm sure he wants it to continue. Just keep going all the way to late April. Just keep meeting with teams and keep getting that back pro.
No comment.
But at this
no
point,
comment.
At this point, now you want to meet with teams, right? I mean,
Oh, yeah,
there's a
100%.
month,
Now that it's
Yeah.
there's a month left to the draft, and now it's about finding out who actually is interested beyond the initial conversation.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, especially this month for like people like me, Nick, Haskell, everybody else that actually continue to actually play. It's pretty interesting to see like where everybody's about to go in the next couple weeks. Of course, like some people is going to out west for a couple days just to meet with teams, and some people just staying just to wait to hear a team.
Yeah.
So.
I know you don't care where you get drafted, but where would you like to visit now that it's like a recruiting process again? Like,
Give us your top
Well, it's
five.
not. It's a job interview.
okay, you get to go on a job interview. You get to pick 5. Like, where do you want to go?
To be honest, anywhere.
All right.
Anywhere
Whoever's
that
calling for you.
anybody that actually wants me, that actually knows I can play for them, I'll go for them. And anybody who picks me, 28th, 29th, 30th, I don't care what round I go in. But also at the same time, I'd rather just show the team like who I am. I don't really care.
Because if the Raiders want to fly me out for an interview,
Yeah.
I'm going to
Oh,
Vegas
I guarantee
right
you.
now.
Yeah, you're not
Put
doing
that on
anything
my
though because
list
you
of-
know they got somebody watching you.
Don't the Raiders have to
Follow
put you
him
on
and
an
see what he
Allegiant
does in
flight,
his
though?
time off.
Here's I guarantee you the Raiders, they probably set guys. Now maybe not a guy like Austin Ward or someone as responsible as Thayer, but like for some of the
Wait, are
players,
you saying I'm as responsible as Thayer? Because that's not.
well, close. But some of the guys who maybe have a reputation for getting out of pocket a little bit more.
Enjoying the
I guarantee you they probably have like stuff baited for them like
Oh,
in
yeah.
the room.
Yeah, well,
You're gonna walk across this person and you're gonna say this to him. And
Let's see
how
what they do
react.
with 2 nights in Vegas.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
that's not surprising.
You don't have any meetings for 2 days.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Don't just sit back
Yeah,
and
the
relax.
meeting's Monday. We'll fly you in on Friday.
Yeah.
See you then.
Yeah, see what happens.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I
What
think you have to.
has there been anything
They
they like?
definitely didn't do that to Damon, or they might.
Well, yeah.
Well,
I don't know if they were fully in.
slip through the
Vegas.
cracks
Yeah,
on that
that's-
one.
he may have been on his best behavior. There was a player. This is no joke. A guy who you would have missed him too, Jay-Z, but pretty good player here. Ended up getting drafted lower than probably he should have, and he went and met with the Steelers and went with Mike Tomlin. And I knew his agent pretty well, and they had coached him up, and he failed a drug test or two, in school. But not like some bad dude, never had any off the field problems. But they were worried. He failed drug tests, he missed games, whatever. And he told him, he's like, "Hey, this has happened." They coached you through the answers of how to answer these questions. And I'll never forget. I talked to his agent later that day, that night, and like, how did he do? How did all this stuff go? And he goes, "Man, you never get." He's like, "Mike Tomlin was so cool." He's like, he said he didn't even care that we smoked weed. And he's like, he went through all this. He's like, "Tell me you didn't." He's like, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Listen, he said it was fine." He's like, "You got to be." He goes, "What happened? Everything in practice?" He goes, "It wasn't like that at all." He's like, "You got to be kidding me."
Yeah.
He's like, "You do realize that like he just straight talked to you and walked you right where he wanted you to go, and you literally dove right on that fishing lure and got pulled into the boat."
That's hilarious.
You hate to see that.
Speaking of coaching, I was going to ask, like, where did you train for pro day? Did they help you? Hey, you're going into these interviews at the combine.
Don't say that you smoke weed.
Get ready for this type of stuff. I mean, was there any kind of coaching that way, or to prepare for that big event in your life?
So I went to Frisco, Texas, trained with Duke Meaningwither. He was very cool. He actually helped us out with the interview process, how to go up there, be confident with your plays, of course. And
So
actually,
you're breaking down plays. Do you send that in? Or So you want to go over these, or do they just have stuff when you go in to meet with a team?
They basically just asked me like, "What's your favorite play to run?"
Oh, okay.
And
Fair
I
enough.
gave them a play, and they was like, "All right."
So what was the play?
It was basically our mid zone, outside zone.
Well, let's get. Come
Yeah,
on,
let's hear it.
There, let's hear the call.
And we
You thought you were done with it?
Regurgitate it.
I thought I was done.
Trapped him.
After last week, he's like, I never have to say this again.
Yeah, then
Dang it, Lettermen Row.
I told him it was going to be fun and casual, and now he's got to get up on the
Oh,
white.
this is funny, Cat.
Bob's actually going to wheel out a whiteboard.
I'm curious. I want to hear the name of it. I want to hear how it's rattled down and then hear his breakdown of it. Like, this is good stuff.
Yeah, I literally just told him about how the front five and what the running back paths are and stuff, and RPOs and how they run it, and it was just like very simple stuff. But other than that, they just want to see how well do I know my plays, And they taught me some of their own plays, of course. It was kind of interesting to actually see because you gotta remember, like, you can't just use your terms, you gotta use their terms, and that was like the hardest part for me than anything.
Oh, it's like taking a foreign language class, like converting what you call it into something. What
Say it
they
right
call
back
it.
to me right now in this meeting that you're nervous. That would be tough.
Was there any team in particular that you felt like when you talked to was more interested in you, or like you had a better relationship, whether it was O-line coach, head coach, whoever it may have been?
Not really. It was everybody was the same. They didn't really, just say like. It was just weird all around. They just want to be very straightforward, see how you feel under pressure. Of course, it's just how well can you handle like adversity.
Now people are going to go into these meetings and they're going to say, well, who do you got? Chris Rock or Will Smith?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who do you got there?
I want you. You have to answer this, Berm. You're first here. Break it
He says
down.
you're tuned in
I got
after.
Fresh Prince.
He's got the Fresh Prince.
I think I have to pick Chris Rock because I feel like he proved he could take at least
He
one
took-
good swing.
took the
Obviously
slack.
it's open hand, so it wasn't a full.
Why do you think?
full-on
Why do you think
shot.
the Fresh Prince went with the open hand?
I think because if it's a closed fist,
he would've knocked
it's a
him
much
out.
different type of assault in that moment.
Listen, Chris Rock's from
well,
Brooklyn,
is
bro.
somebody going to
If you're gonna-
arrest Will Smith?
If you're gonna get,
I think had
No,
he
they're
done
going to give him an award.
I
10
think-
minutes later.
I think had he done that with a closed fist, then I think there would have been a much higher chance that like a case could have been pending from Chris Rock afterwards.
listen,
Do you think
don't
that
know, you
Chris
break a
Rock
nose
is
or
going to?
All of a sudden, it's a different ballgame. You break an orbital
Yeah, you
bone.
can't finish the show. You're out.
Okay, Will Smith has $1 billion. Is he going to be opposed to paying for Chris Rock's medical bill
I'm
or a
saying
fine?
Nobody wants that.
paying for a medical bill is one thing, but like Chris Rock's from Brooklyn, dude. Like
I'm going to take.
if for you,
been a long time.
He's
You
West
insult-
Philadelphia, born and raised.
That's my point. Is
son.
you insulted another dude's wife
On the
He-
playground
No.
is where he spent most of his days.
He walked up to you straight and square, didn't grab like a pipe, didn't shank you, didn't hit you in the back of the head, straight up walked in front of you and smacked you across the mouth. Like
pick up a random.
if you press charges in that, you can't go back. You can't ever go back to people that you knew
right.
growing
Okay,
up.
so we're on the same
They'll
page,
call you
yeah.
straight
I
off.
don't think Chris Rock's going back to meeting people he grew up with.
Say that. Chris, where do you think he get his material from somewhere? man?
I guess.
point is, he's hosting the Oscars. You make jokes.
He's not hosting. He was just
presenting an
presenter.
award.
But he's a joke. He's a comedian.
Hey, read the
comedian.
card.
I
Read the
jokey
card. I
joke
love
man.
Chris.
I don't-
love
He's
Chris
a
Rock.
comedian.
I don't like the precedent of people hitting a comedian for making a joke.
Well,
Agreed.
maybe you should watch about how far you take that joke.
But I also don't know that joke was very funny. I also don't know that it was that. I mean, Will Smith seemed to laugh about it at first, and then he
He
stopped.
got those eyes.
Because you look at his
He
wife
looked
and
at
she,
Jada and realized, okay, now I need to go do something.
Well, he loves to watch Jada.
that's
That's it for me.
that's terrible.
I mean, Chris, why didn't
You watched so hard on Sunday night.
you got, that was his reward.
It was.
Now there's really like, what is this
What
show?
did
Like,
I walk into?
why
Wow.
am I here?
Hope the
let's
chicken
talk-
was good.
Let's
Wow, you don't even want to continue after that?
I don't know.
I took it too far off the rails for Berm.
I don't know where to go after that.
That was good. I like that.
I think that
Hey,
Will,
so how was being a Massillon Tiger? Tell these people how amazing
Hey,
it
you
is
guys
up there.
spent a combined like 2 years at Massillon.
Combined, I was there for 2.5.
I know. Okay.
Where did you transfer in from there?
Cincinnati LaSalle High School.
You went
He
from,
came with Coach Moore, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that's when it all kind of happened. He got the job up there, and
Yeah.
that's a big swing from LaSalle up to Massillon. That's
With LaSalle, I couldn't like keep up with them academically wise because it was like more like a college prep school. And knowing myself, I knew I could do it, but I kept going, kept trying. And Nate Moore always like helped me out with my schooling, of course. But after he left, my schooling went down a lot, and they really never helped me out with like schooling. Trying to understand like how I work. They always like, all right, you gotta do this. And with their Catholic religion, of course, it was hard for me to understand because I never grew up on Catholic religion. And with that, I was like, it's hard.
Too much,
like, yeah. It was way too much. They always like, they didn't like directly came at me and said like, oh, you got freaking notice already. They just basically said like, oh, you're not cut for this stuff. Then I was like, wow. All right, then good thing y'all at Catholic school. Now I know public school then because it'll be some worse exchange. But I didn't know any better.
Yeah, you're a young guy just trying to find your way down here.
But obviously, it changed your life in a really positive direction. You move up to Massillon. You start getting the attention of Ohio State like late in your senior year, basically early part of the senior year, and then
the last 2 months actually.
Right, the offer came very late, and
yeah,
how did you wrap your mind around that as a 17-year-old to be like, I have to make this huge decision to go live with my football coach?
I was actually 16 at the time, and it was hard for me. It was hard for me, but I also told my mom like, look, if I want to go to college, and if we want to go somewhere that I really want to go, we got to make the sacrifices so I can actually go to college and go to Ohio State, so I can actually come to games instead of just sitting at the house just listening to on our radio or something like that, or just watching on TV. We gotta make sacrifices a lot. If you don't make sacrifices, I'm not gonna go where I'm about to go. Just like everybody here, y'all made sacrifices just to do stuff that y'all love to do,
Yep.
and just being here, just it's a blessing because y'all work so hard just to do this. And Bobby, you work so hard to be where you at right now. Of course, it's just you gotta make sacrifices somehow.
So your freshman year at Ohio State was 17?
Yeah.
That was after Ed. So you had Stud the whole time.
Yeah,
Stud was the guy who came in and basically fought for him to get an offer.
Literally.
And he's taken a lot of heat over the years as a recruiter, but I don't want to put you on the spot, but what did that mean to you? Like, this guy was there from the start to the end, with you the whole time. Obviously, almost to the day, your season ends and he's moving on. Was that relationship different for you guys than other people?
Oh yeah, it was 100% different. He was basically like the actual first father figure that I ever had. I had a biological dad, of course, but he was never around. He always stole from my mom. He always stole from my parents, of course. But I never had. I had Nate Moore, but Coach Stud was a different person outside of football and with football, of course. Coach Stud always got on my butt so hard throughout practice. It was like, bro, I'm tired of your shit, man. I'm tired of it. So me and him had our falling out it was like a falling out. It was like a father son.
Yeah, back and forth. You're not gonna talk for a couple of days, and then all of a sudden you're good again. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that. But especially last year, I started understanding how he was as a man, and actually started being like an immature kid. Of course, just actually start listening to what he's actually saying without him yelling at me so much. I actually sat there and listened to what he's actually saying,
without taking it personally.
Yeah, without taking it personal, and that's going to be like that for here on out for me. They can yell at me all they want, but also since I got to keep my composure down.
And all that too, they're going back to that sacrifice, making the move, coming back to Ohio State was to, obviously the NFL stuff is here, but you wanted to get your degree first and foremost. How much I respect all of your journey and the accomplishments you made, and you came in here afterwards, sat in this very row and celebrated with your family. Like you accomplished everything that you wanted, and I know it wasn't easy.
It was not easy at all, especially just dealing with everybody. Well, most of everybody knows I had a back surgery, L4-5 disc. My first full season, and I played through it for like 5 games in 2018, and it was hard. I was taking so much slack of like, oh, Thayer can't move laterally. He's not strong enough. But in reality, I was hurting so bad. I was like, I can't really move that much at all. And, I proved everybody wrong, the next following year, of course. But, everybody still had those doubts, of course, because I had back surgery. And everybody saw what I can do like last year in 2020, of course. And I kind of shut everybody up, of course, but everybody just want to keep harping.
A good feeling, right?
Yeah, it was it's a great feeling. But
if you haven't noticed, Thayer is a little bit like you, Bob, or Schlegs, where there aren't any punches pulled in the press conference setting. And during the back issue, he was not real happy about the evaluations of his play. That was one of my favorites. Coming out, saying, well, that I haven't lifted a weight in 9 months. Like, my back doesn't work. Like, what do you want from me? And there was a lot of colorful language. And that's when I knew for sure that there was one of my favorites. Sort of like Damon. But, if you're going to come tell the truth and, be a man about it, then you're always okay in my book. And Thayer did that, just like you do. Jay-Z sometimes.
What was that like there, battling back from an injury, going through the surgery, rehabbing that at Ohio State? I mean, having surgery in college is different than at home. Like, your mom's not here to take care of you. There's no one else. I mean, you got to take care of yourself and still get over the facility. Yeah. Were you working with Stu here then?
Oh yeah, Stu was still here. So I had my surgery January 11th of 2019. And I didn't lift a single weight for 2.5 months. Like, I couldn't do nothing. All I did was sat there, ate salads, basically the whole freaking 2 months. I was miserable, of course. But they rehabbed me. They made sure everything was all right. The scar was good. Make sure my limited mobility was good. Then after those 2.5 months, I started easily going into weightlifting, weight training. It sucked, of course, because it was just you really can't move. You can't lift a 135. It's as light as it should be, and
what you're used to it being.
Yeah,
exactly.
And just sitting there, and just really just looking at how everybody was. I just had to start building up my confidence on my back of just walking, a light jog, just a little bit. And after practice, sometimes during spring, I usually just go in the pool, just run, just to have some type of conditioning, not just sitting there just all right, woe's me. Let me just sit back and just not do anything.
Well, getting back into it, how did that affect your weightlifting? Because I know I had the same surgery, L4, L5, shaved disc. I was never able to really squat heavily or do that sort of thing. So, I mean, did you have to kind of find ways to get that strength back in your legs after that, that long time off?
Yeah, so Coach Mick had an order this little belt, this new belt squat machine, of course. And me and him was been talking about it all the time. Once a back, it's always a back. Nothing ever changes, of course. And him understanding how it was with my back, and him taking the time out of his day to actually find something so I can actually take, squat. Yeah. I have a whole different appreciation for him. Just making sure I still have, some type of leg strength, but it was something.
Okay, because you need that, right?
Sounds better than none.
Yeah.
We're going to let Thayer stop talking about himself as we get to the halfway point in the show. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about some current Buckeyes. He's going to dig in. We got Thayer. Is that your go-to, the grilled chicken, or if you weren't trying to get ready
for training mode?
What would you be getting at? What would you be getting at Roosters for a normal celebration?
You know what? I'd probably get a 12 piece.
Okay,
for sure with Carolina Gold.
Oh,
yeah. There you go.
But right now, I can't have that right now.
Not quite as aggressive
Not right now.
as Berm over here.
Not everyone can go that far.
Do you want to talk
I think
about?
the tears finally caught up.
Well,
whatever.
What do we have
Tuesdays?
here?
Well,
Oh
I
my.
believe since we have 3 trays of them, they are the featured appetizer.
That is correct.
So we have cheesy bacon fries.
Cheesy bacon fries, $2 on Tuesday.
The featured appetizer Tuesday, $2 all day long.
Can't beat it.
Just participating Roosters. And listen, I think we're done with the shortages. They've got
we're back.
the potatoes are back.
For now.
They're ready to go. They're curly. They're delicious. It's a little bit of potato and pig with a little bit of the cow in there with some milk and cheese.
Get a side of ranch. That's delicious.
A whole barnhouse party.
The barnyard buster right there.
Turning it all loose. So Appetizer Tuesday, come and get that, or a 12-piece Carolina Gold, whatever you need on Tuesday. We're going to take a quick break at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint. This is Lettermen Live.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint, but the truth is, it is so much more. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. It's a place where you will always find a friendly face, and the home of wings so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. So yeah, we're a lot of things to a lot of people. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
good to go.
For the dealer nearest you, visit Bryant.com.
Welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge. This is Roosters. This is a fun, casual conversation about the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are now somehow a third of the way through spring camp. It feels like it just started.
Comes at you fast.
And now it's already nearly over. And they're going to get at it 3 times this week, Tuesday, Thursday, and then student appreciation practice on Saturday.
Oh, is that what that is?
I know Thayer must have missed that student appreciation day the last couple of years. Just get a 2,000 people in there watching you guys practice on a Saturday morning.
Oh, it's nice, but also at the same time, it's like, dang, if I messed something when we start talking about my
Good.
yeah. And it didn't help when I went against Chase and Nick all the time.
All
I was like,
practice.
Hey, I'm told that iron sharpens iron. That's what,
Oh, it for sure does, but
Still hurts.
everybody
Make you look silly in front of the students every now and then too. huh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, but it still hurts to get hit.
So let me ask you this one, and not to go back since you brought them up, but when you're meeting with NFL coaches and they ask you, and I'm sure the question, like, do you feel like you're NFL ready? Do you feel like you can do this? How many times did you utilize those guys as an example?
Oh, definitely all the time. Like, you see Nick, you see what he does, and you see
I did,
Chase.
because I watched a rerun of practice back in 2016 against Isaiah Prince.
Yeah, he did me the same way, basically. But, going against him and going against Chase, of course, Nick was more like hand-eye coordinated.
Oh, yeah.
And Chase was just a speed demon who actually loved to finesse. And going against them all the time, it was like, wow, like during games, it's a lot easier than going against them. It's like every time like we had pass, I like, all right, I gotta have my headphones on just to make sure I got my mind right. But going against them it's pretty nice.
it's kind of interesting where, and Berman's brought this point up, we're going to talk so much about the defense all spring and all summer and all the way through training camp, and everyone just assumes that the offense is going to be fine with good reason, and that includes now with you gone and Nick both gone and your old position coach. It's like, oh, well, Justin Fry's really good, and DeJuan's back, and Paris is going to left tackle, and Donovan Jackson's a 5-star. The offensive line's just going to be fine. Like, we don't even spend any time really worrying about it.
Yeah, but also at the same time, like, they have seen me and Nick. Especially young guys, like, they saw how I, like, went through adversity and seen how I went through stuff. And they seen how when Nick went through stuff, too, it was like, all right, if we complain about this now, like, we're not about to be where we want to be in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
So they basically said, like, all right, let me stop talking and actually start listening.
Were you ever envious of Nick, the fact that he has a hard time maintaining weight, so he just gets to eat his face off all the time, where most offensive linemen is like the other side, where we're over here, cutting up the grilled chicken fingers, even though we really want to eat this basket.
I really do, but it's hard. But with Nick, it was just weird how he came in at, 290, 285
Oh,
time.
maybe, yeah.
65 probably.
There was a time in camp, I think he was in
was.
his 70s. Yeah.
It was in the 70s sometimes, and I just look at him like, are you really about to make it? But, he kept going. Nick was just, he's just a weird guy.
He's just a weird.
He's a weird guy, but
different.
in a good way.
Are we all?
A weird guy in a good way.
Nick was the number one rated tackle in the country coming out of high school in 2018. Paris was the number one rated tackle coming out in 2020. Can you just speak to the difference between those two as freshmen and like how people on the outside look at it and say, oh, number one tackle, he should do this, right? But they were at totally different points of their development and physically.
I personally think like the number one tackle on, like, it's this whole stereotype with the rankings. I'm sorry.
Those guys are idiots. Say it.
Certainly. There's no doubt that it's hit or miss. In a
Just
lot of
chasing
ways.
around young dudes. That's all
But
they're trying to do.
I'm just saying, I think it's important that people understand you were a 3-star, and some of that was because of the transfer and the concerns about academics and that kind of stuff. But when you look at Nick and Paris, who are both 5-star prospects, both number one ranked player in the country at their position, they were at such different spots in their personal development when they got to college that it's hard to objectively look at it and say, oh, you can compare these two guys because they weren't even close to the same.
Yeah. So with Nick, he came in light, of course, but he was also strong. It was like it was very weird, like how light he is, but he was super strong. And with Paris, it's no biased opinion, of course, but with Paris, like, I saw how he grew up from his sophomore year to his senior year of high school, and how much weight he pulled on, how dedicated he was, just to play and actually, like, do the stuff that he wants to do. He had that mindset just from the jump, and we always, like, me, Josh, and Wyatt, we always, and Michael Jordan, of course, always tell him, like, why are you up here so much? Like, come on, like, go back to high school, just chill out,
Go have a girlfriend,
Get out of here.
literally. And he was like, nah, man, I'm trying to, like, learn the offense and stuff. I'm like, you gonna have time to learn the offense,
Yeah,
all right?
they're gonna teach you.
He's gonna definitely teach you, but also at the same time, I understand where he wanted, like, he wanted to play. He wanted to play up front.
I think that stuff is always crazy with the kids now, like so many of them showing up in December. Like, I have to start now. I got to enroll early. You got 3, 4, 5 years of this. They're not going to let you fall way behind.
Maybe six.
that's
Seven.
kind of the point I'm interested in making here. Off of that is Donovan Jackson, who was number 1 ranked player at his position at guard coming into the class of 2021. Did not enroll early. Did not have all that extra time, but as someone who's now penciled in sort of as an expected starter and as a true sophomore,
Yeah.
why was he different than what you guys had seen out of some of the other freshmen? Because I've heard things about Donovan Jackson from coaches over down the street that you don't hear very often, so that are just very high expectations. What has he done that is sort of put himself in that conversation?
Definitely just bought in. Even though he came in, like, later than his classmates in 20. I don't know.
Yeah, there are 15 guys in that class that came in early. So
Yeah, part of me thinks is because, well, I know for sure it's the NIL deals, of course, and he just like wanted to be a kid for a little bit longer, just to have fun, even though he's still a kid in his own heart, of course, but he's just a guy just sat there and just watched and just listened to everything.
Just having fun, man. Just like, it ain't no fun if the homies can't have none, right? That's what Jada says, correct? Will?
I assumed we'd
Who?
get back to Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith at some point.
Jada.
So what'd you have lined up?
Jada's
Now,
awesome.
speaking of
Sure.
switching positions, you moved to guard. And I'm not sure. We watched that on the outside looking in last year, and there were a lot of us in the media going, man, I'm not sure.
You mean we Will Smith that?
We will Smith it out. We'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
is this right? Is this what
Yeah.
Thayer really wants? And the conversation was, it was your decision that you told Coach Stud, and hey, let's let DeJuan play. Let's see how this works.
Let's get jiggy with it.
As you look back on it now, do you feel like it was still the right thing for you?
Yes. Yeah, like some parts during the season, I was like, man, like when I got my ankle rolled up on, I'm like, man, is this even really for me? Like, I really just got
It's
rolled
really
up
for
on
me.
a simple play.
I should be on the outside.
Yeah, literally. And but also at the same time, I just looked at it. I was like, you know what? It's just another time. It's another adversity thing I gotta go through. I ain't really care. I did it for my teammates. I always told my team, like, I would die for y'all. I always told them I would die for y'all. I would do anything for y'all. If y'all really need anything, I would do it for y'all. But as long as it's, like, not outrageously, like, stupid, and I'm like, all right, like, we got some problems here. But I told them, like,
What was the line? What wouldn't you have done for them?
Ooh,
Oh boy.
Kill a cat?
kill a cat.
talk about that one.
Did that come up a lot in conversations at the combine about how you played multiple positions?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It was like, you didn't do so well like you did in 2020. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I don't care. Like,
Do you feel like
I
you-
played.
I was doing what, yeah, I was
do you
starting,
feel
I was
like you
doing what
didn't
I
do well?
Hmm?
Do you feel like you didn't do well? Because I mean,
Oh yeah, like I didn't feel like I was doing well because I was getting used to the position still at the time. But when the season came around, I started like figuring out how to actually like go vertical on a deuce block or go vertical on a combo block. Of course, it was all new to me, so I really didn't have that many chances to actually like put that on film.
We talked about this a lot last season, and you don't have to weigh in if you don't want to, but having 4 tackles on the field just felt like it wasn't natural. I mean, Paris, we know where his best role is, and we'd seen what you did the year before at tackle and previous in your career. And I guess I'm just hoping that for Ohio State's sake, and it's not an indictment on Stud or anything like that, but they wanted you all to be on the field, and it just didn't seem to gel the way maybe they envisioned or they hoped that it could. And now moving forward, if you're just talking about, well, Donovan Jackson being a true guard and Luke obviously being in the middle, and then Matt Jones finally getting a chance there at guard, like maybe there is something to the fact that tackles are tackles and guards are guards. That's not always the case, but I think at least through 5 practices, it seems like that's going to maybe work for Ohio State in a better way.
Yeah. I think it was just because like we all like the offensive line room basically said like I would do anything for our team because we the parent of the whole team, of course. Basically, like we don't really talk that much. Like we got some of us like Dewan, Paris, they love to talk. With me and Nick, we barely talk because it's like, all right, we still gotta keep our composure. Like we can't just go out there. It's like, oh, like you suck. We do that sometimes, but also at the same time, it's like, all right, keep my composure before I get beat and get too big of a hit. And we all told each other like we do this for a team.
In essence, you guys ended up starting 4 first-time starters a year ago on the offensive line because you moved to guard. You never played there. Paris moved to guard. He'd never played there. DeWan ended up starting for the first time. Luke had to come in and start for Harry. And
And Nick switched sides.
So it's a whole new offensive line despite the fact there's a lot of veterans on it.
Yeah.
As you look at this group now, it's a little bit more veteran because you have guys that have played minutes.
Yeah, 100%.
But when you're watching them in person last week and getting to see these guys, do you feel like they are understanding that they have to kind of
they mature so much.
Yeah.
Especially with Paris and DeWan and Luke. When me and Nick was like talking about it before, like it was like a conversation before they even came to the picture, like who's going to be the starting 5, with Luke, Paris, and DeWan, we was more worried about how they're going to handle adversity when it actually hits them, And, for the most part, for their first year, they actually handled it pretty well, and me and Nick was like really, really, really surprised about that. And, most, guys that's, young don't know how to handle adversity, Sometimes they just shut down and just say like, all right, forget it. I'm just doing my own thing. But they ask questions with me, especially with Luke, Paris, and DeWan. It's like, all right, how did you like overcome that? They had a couple bad plays. They ain't got, put on national television, of course. But also at the same time, they just asked us like, all right, help me to understand how to actually like go through it. And sometimes, and most times I'm not perfect. I had to like today. I know it's off topic, of course, but I asked.
That's the theme of the show.
Yes.
That's what we do here.
Yeah, but I asked John Simon of Hike, what's the difference of like working out twice a day?
Oh gosh.
And I was like, because I just sat there and thought about it. I'm like, I'm going to the professional level now, and I'm just asking questions like, how can I get better? Like, how can I like take care of my body like the way it should? And that's
how do
what
you
they
end
did
up
for
not
us.
looking like John when you're
What
older?
did Johnny say? Only 2? I'm talking about 4 times.
John's body is absolutely destroyed. He is a prime example of what the NFL does to you. I mean,
He was trying to do that to himself in college when
Of
he was
course,
working out 3 days a week,
but
3 times a day.
all the injuries have like slowly taken their toll and like just stripped him of anything strong in his life. So where he's just a football player.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look forward to. It's pretty terrible.
But you don't have to look forward to that.
You-
Here's what you do have to look forward to. Every week we play a little game on the show, like give us a thought about who you're excited to watch. And as a guy who played with this team and was on this roster 3 months ago, who's the offensive player that Ohio State fans should be paying close attention to this year, and the defensive player that Ohio State fans should be
Only
expecting
one?
big things for? I mean, hell,
Schlegel will go
we
down
haven't-
the whole,
the other
the whole
part
roster.
is a running joke.
So you can
where
do whatever you want.
Schlegs and Bob like to take 15 different
who are
guys.
we
Don't
not
throw me in there.
who are we not talking about enough that people need to be excited about, that you got to witness what they're capable of day in and day out?
All right, offensive line, got one person. It's definitely Donovan, of course. That's the obvious one. Skill position-wise is Emeka and JB. And
Another vote
Oh, wow.
for Jaden Ballard.
Oh, wow. People just talking about Maslin again all the time.
hey,
I talked about him a couple weeks ago.
but definitely Emeka and JB. I already know what Marvin going to do. Everybody saw what Marvin can do. He's going to be
It was pretty good.
It
pretty good.
It wasn't bad.
Defensively, definitely Zach. I personally think he's going to have like a breakout season. Even though like they definitely took it to heart when everybody was, downplaying them of how many pressures they did not have. Of course, I'm like, they young, man. Like they not going to get there like how everybody else was. It wasn't like another Nick Bosa, Joey Bosa, Chase Young. It wasn't that, but they knew it and they played their part, and they making sure like, all right, I'm shut up all the critics. Of course, just shut them up real good so they will stop talking about us.
I thought it was interesting the way Zach answered some of those questions last week. He came out on Thursday and was like, everyone has spent 3 years sort of asking and comparing him to the Bosas and Chase Young, and we've done that here, and he's never wanted to do that. He's never been interested in it. He's always tried to be the best Zach Harrison, and that's fine. Everyone should say that and try and be that way, but he's also aware that based on the 5-star rankings, based on being top 5, top 10 player in the country, that he wanted to, and he should have given more at this point. And he said, I've got more to give, and that's why he's back.
Perfect.
Though
Heck yeah.
that's a
Take
much
it.
better answer than getting defensive about it and be like, I don't care about being Chase Young or Joey Bosa or Nick Bosa. Like,
He's his own person, though.
But
He's
why should
definitely
he
his own
aim
person.
for Chase Young and Joey Bosa and Nick Bosa?
Because they were drafted in the top.
I think it's because
Whatever.
the standard is the standard.
Standard is the standard, number one. Like if you're, that's what you're supposed to be. Those are aspirational goals for a lot of guys, but I mean, they need to have that level of production. And the reality is too, I mean, watching those guys, JTT and Jack Sawyer, like those they have both played really well. I don't know if you saw them on Saturday. Like the stand-up deal, like Jack fits really well with what they're doing. He looks really natural at it. So I'm excited to kind of watch those two young guys continue to push, and that's when you get really good. Is when you have a lot of guys out there who are very talented players. You're fighting for reps, and hey, we're going to rotate guys through. I mean, I need to make sure that I'm making the most of this because they may start chewing into my time if I don't start playing well, and that's what they've had here for a long time, and it's really driven the defensive line. When you've had going back to Taekwon and Sam Hubbard and guys like that, and getting pushed by everybody else, and so hopefully those things will begin to happen again.
So you got to see all the scrimmage, Bob?
As much as I was there for, I mean, I crammed it in between my daughter's soccer game. I left after the first half for hers, and then missed like the first half of my son's soccer game, so I was able to yam it in there for about an hour and 15 minutes to see as much as I possibly could, and then duck out right away. But then I did go back afterwards, after the game, kind of hang out, talk to some more people, and see how everything was going, and get a little lift in as well.
I'm just impressed that you always get to be on the guest list.
Must be nice.
They've got a strong bouncer presence out there. So
Well, I mean, I'm trying to add value.
Yeah.
Can you help out a little bit? So helping, and I was really impressed watching Steele and Tommy. Those guys have done a great job. Both of them, I think, are going to have really good years. Hopefully Cody gets his shoulder, healed up, and they're just like
Upper body injury.
yeah. Upper body, well, yeah, exactly. When you're wearing your shoulder harness,
It makes people think that the
like
shoulder
you
might
come
be the
running
upper part. Yeah.
Upper chesticle area.
Yeah, and so watching those guys, and just like Thayer was talking about, when you're young, I mean, it's different. They've all got a season under their belts now, and just watching, especially Tommy, how decisive he is. Like, see, go. Whereas, like, see, wander around. Like, now you can see just how much more deliberate, and then Steele as well, because he finally getting full off season of linebacker and understanding what he's
Switched
supposed
over
to
at
do.
the beginning of last year.
Yeah, it was fun to watch Cade flip back to tight end. He was over there at tight end's first practice on Saturday, and looking good.
Oh boy,
Yeah.
Bob's breaking some news out here.
Well, I mean, there was a bunch of people there. I wasn't like the only person. There's a bazillion recruits and everything else. Like,
Cade has been bounced around enough. Like, they need to pick somewhere and let him go.
gosh, there's a great line that
All I gotta say is
Just like
Cade
Jada.
is a different person.
You a different person?
He's a different person.
Where do you think he should be?
He just wants to hit people. That's really all he cares
Is
about.
that really all I care?
Early.
He'll be a
The linebacker sounds
he'll
good.
be a fine if he has to play tight end in a pinch and contribute because other guys aren't ready.
I don't know if they have that guy who is. I mean, it's nice to have a tight end who is big and physical and can help capture the end of the line of scrimmage.
2 years ago, they put Cade on special teams, and he told me after the game, it was the first time he'd been out there in special teams. He goes, "I'm so glad I got to hit people today." Like, all he cares about is hitting people. Like, whether he's doing that as a running back or a linebacker or a safety or a tight end, he just wants to hit people, and he has a really fun time doing it.
Hitting dudes.
Yeah. Mitch is not a bad person to be, on tight end either.
Well, Mitch, I mean, obviously provides a different thing that the offense doesn't have, that sort of fullback / tight end role.
Yeah.
And, I think, if we're going to talk about football, the difference for this offense this year is who steps up.
If
The absence.
that is a legitimate
I thought this
question.
was a football show.
In-
I thought that was Tim May for a
in
second.
the absence of Jeremy Ruckert, right? I mean, G's there and Joe Royer stepping up, and then you got the young guys in Sam Hard, and you wonder how Bennett Christian can
Great name.
contribute. But
Yeah.
the
Football name.
difference here for CJ Stroud to continue to ascend is it he has to have a tight end he can count on and rely on, and
No loose ends,
I
only
think-
tight ends.
right. I mean, exactly. Jada,
Can't say anything better.
Jada,
Just get,
Jada.
he's going to work through it.
Jada Kiss.
He's going to work through it. He's going to find it.
Jada.
Just start with Jada and then work from there. The punchline will come to you.
The offense is about the tight end position, right? So who's there? I mean, you got to see G last year becoming a tight end. What did you think of him making that switch as you guys were both changing positions?
You know, with G,
Jada's Pickett Smith.
with G coming from like as a wide receiver, you know, one of the top wide receivers in his class, of course. He was basically saying like, all right, I need to get on the field somehow because he's sick and tired of being on the bench. He's sick and tired of being on the sidelines, of course. And he was going through a lot, you know, last year, personal stuff for him. And he's been working at it like mentally just to get his mind right, just to actually play football, you know, because he's the type of person that who actually gets his mind in to football. He's a different person, you know. It's not, and I love him for that. And you know, I love everybody on that team. You know, even though I don't know the younger guys, of course, but they want to work at it. They want to be better at it. They want to win a national championship, of course.
This is the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'll stop talking for the whole show because I
This
feel
ought
like
to
I'm,
be good. This ought to be good.
I feel like
Seems pretty unlikely.
I feel like I'm talking a lot today, but I don't care because I like talking about this stuff. And if there's something that you want, like the people out there, the fans, to know about what you guys go through as football players at Ohio State, that they need to understand, to maybe I'm thinking about it because of all the Harry Miller stuff in the last few weeks, but like. Is there something? I mean, Jay-Z, you can certainly talk about this too. You went through a lot of crap.
See, he's ready.
This was before social media. So,
Oh,
I mean,
thank God. I don't know if I'd be here right now.
I just feel like sometimes that there's a disconnect between what fans
He's ready, Berm. Let him go.
feel and say and what they should.
So basically, like with my boy Harry, of course, we go through so much mental stuff. It's ridiculous. Like everybody thinks like, oh, y'all football players, y'all strong. I'm like, y'all really don't know like what people go through. Like, yeah, like I know it's different back then. You know, everybody was like, all right, I gotta be a man. I gotta be mentally strong and mentally tough about this. I can't really show no emotions. Now it's a different age. Now, like I know for sure, like I had a hard time actually going through it mentally, just with football, school, family stuff. Like we add all that together and you just shut down mentally. It's hard. It's hard to actually come by. Like hard to actually like sit there, look at a person like, all right, like even though I have all this stuff behind me, like yipping at me right now, like parents, acquaintances, like just coming at me, just saying like, how come you're not playing? How come you're not doing this? How come you're not doing that? How come why on this play? Like why? Like what? Like all this shit.
You're fine.
Excuse me, like
You're fine.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
like all that stuff is just like annoying that some people think they know football.
And I'm gonna.
It's just
and they think they know everything you go through.
Yes, and it's
as
just like,
a student athlete,
why?
and because you get your school paid for, you're just supposed to be
yeah,
superhuman about everything
we
else
got-
that's going on in your life,
we got
right?
freaking Twitter, and everybody just sits there on their phone like just tweeting about us. Of course, it's like
that's where a lot of the stuff with Harry really started, was the social media stuff.
oh,
So this was, I mean, the day or 2 days before the Michigan State game in 2020, when he was had to play center on a moment's notice, and that's when people lost the plot, right? I mean, they went at him in a way that should never have happened. And as you guys, as teammates watching that, I mean, you're getting it, he's getting it. How do you respond to that, like internally? Because obviously you want to lash out and go on social media and say, "Everyone, shut the up," but you can't do that because
you can't because like everybody trying to put you in your place. Like we have the stereotype like, oh, football players are not smart. Like we are smart. You got Harry over here just talking about how he feels personally, and you know, like everybody's like saying like, oh, like I'm so sorry for everything. I'm like, y'all should have thought about that before. Like, look, like before he even said that. Like, I get so emotional about this because it's like, why would you even like? It should not even come to this part. Like for people to actually like go through all this stuff and just, you know, if players actually said what they want to say, fans will not be a part of football at all. I swear,
Smacking a lot of people.
I swear, like people will not like us at all. They're just like, all right, you just a football player. Like, all right, like you can just move on then.
On to a better topic. And I think I know where I would like.
You just didn't want to end it on that note.
No,
You mean a
because
happier topic?
a
happier topic,
Yes,
yeah.
Because that's a real topic and
more
it's
pleasant,
everywhere.
Better meaning more uplifting.
Yes.
Craziest dude you played with at Ohio State.
Oh,
So Bob has a
Oh.
thing that a team needs wild cards, is what we've decided to call
Someone
it.
who will shank someone.
ooh,
That's what he wants.
All right.
Cade.
definitely Cade.
Okay. All right.
Got one.
I didn't know if you would be going there. I like that.
Well, he's not afraid to grind up some meat.
He isn't. No, he's a wild dude. Where would you put Damon Arnett on that scale? The man they call Rico. For
Rico?
why?
I would definitely put him up there for sure. But he definitely means well though.
Oh, he's the nicest dude in the world. I tell him this. He's the only guy I know who I'd let watch my kids, but also I think would stab somebody if I asked him to.
Oh yeah.
He checks both boxes. Very few people.
Don't mix
do
up the instructions, Bob.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess at some point you have to ask yourself, should I be asking someone to stab someone on my account?
I
Never
There's
know.
always that.
You never know. What if
Never
Will
know.
Smith decided he needed some help handling Chris Rock?
100%. Damon's your guy.
G.I. Jane's right there.
You have no idea the stuff you get into in this world that you may need that
Wow.
guy.
I'm going to move him.
Is.
You're about
Yeah.
to get attacked.
You believe that?
He just heard.
Yeah.
He just heard.
Mm.
He's coming in here now to the Letterman Lounge.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good on that one.
Dangerous. I'm going to need an offensive lineman to protect me from Berm making jokes. Poor Jada, who did nothing.
She seems like a nice person. That's all I'm saying.
She's very friendly. Has a lot of friends. Anyway, this has been a special edition of Letterman Live. We cannot thank Thayer Munford enough for making some time to appear back in here, eat a little chicken. He's going to take probably a 50 piece to go. Oh, no, he's still got to get ready for the draft.
Yeah,
He can't,
Yeah, he's
I
still
get
got-
for drafting for any team that wants me.
he can't do that.
Do you have any visits scheduled yet?
I have like 2 visits scheduled.
You don't want to tell us where they are.
I got one. He wanted to go to Vegas. He's taking that one.
All right. You just keep that to yourself.
That's right.
That's private. That's for him and his agent to handle. You can't pry into his business, Berm.
You need an agent.
I got me one for
Yeah,
sure.
to go.
I'm his agent. That's why I brought him in here this week for Letterman Live. He is the second ever Blocko. Who's going to be the third? You have to answer that.
That's hard because it's a lot of guys. You got Cam Babb.
I think you should get to pick.
I agree that him and
Yeah.
Goop should get a vote.
You got Cam Babb, Zach Harrison, and Taraja Mitchell. There's a couple more I can't really think of off the top of my head right now, but there's a couple more players that actually deserves it.
Well,
Did Bab come in with you?
No, he was a great.
he got there 10 years before there.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
That's Berm's favorite joke is that he's a senior with 4 years of eligibility left.
He's a master's student, he's
Literally.
in grad school with 4 years of eligibility.
But we sincerely appreciate the second Blocko for joining us there. Munford, we wish him all the luck as he continues through that process ahead of the draft next month. Maybe we'll have Roosters cater his draft party. I don't know.
Hey, there we go.
They have chips when you cater, right, Jake?
That's what I've been told.
That's Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Berm. I'm Austin Ward. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week for Letterman Live at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint.